that is probably the most recent proof I've had of how purely story can create whatever it is you want. I'm also very passionate about a thing called a paraprosdokian. Paraprosdokians are sentences that change their meaning halfway through. So for instance, change is inevitable except from vending machines. One of my favourite paraprosdokians is, you know, I'm interested in nothing. With the right story, I can make anything out of it. That, to me, embodies what it is that you need to do for yourselves, for your businesses, for your brands, for your movements, anything you want to do. And here's the thing. All of us, every one of us, seems to develop in language what I call a life sentence. So, and you tend to bring this to your business, to your brand, whatever it is. So, we tend to say something about the way the world is, the way we are, and we sentence ourselves to that for eternity. It doesn't matter how optimistic and positive and all the rest of it we are, underneath we characterize the bad stuff in the world in a certain way, and we're related to it through our life sentence. Like, my life sentence is, you know, will you be my friend? Right? That drives a fundamental part of my personality. It's not something that you want to be proud of, but it's something that I can say because, you know, I figured it out. In order to transcend that life sentence, which doesn't really help me, I had to come up with something else. Now, the thing that I came up for me is the opposite of life sentence, is a promise. One of the things that you want to really look at is the past is actually largely irrelevant to who you are. Most people will say, and by the way, the life sentence is part of the past, but most people will say, oh, but you know, I'm the sum of all my experiences. Rubbish. Who you are really is given by who you intend to be, more than anything else. I'll put it another way. The future that you set is the present that you get. And I'll give you a little proof. I've got a friend who is a restaurateur. And he's not exactly the sportiest guy in the world. Right? And he runs a beautiful restaurant called Kai in Mayfair. He has definitely got a touch of OCD. And some years ago, he came to me and a few friends and he said, I am going to be an Olympian. Yeah, that's precisely the result that we had. So we said, okay, you're going to be an Olympian, fine, okay, whatever. You're not kidding. Okay, good, whatever. Anyway, so he went and he looked at all of the sports in the Olympics. And he found one that being short and dumpy doesn't actually disadvantage you all that much. He found trap shooting. And despite running a thriving restaurant business, he went every night after, like sometimes 4 a.m, he got key to the local range, and he basically went trap shooting. He won his local, regional, state, national championships, and he represented England in the Athens Games. He didn't get a medal. So what? He was an Olympian. Now, the future of Olympian that he put out there and acted with integrity to getting caused him to change who he was. I would argue that he became an Olympian the second he set that future and committed to it. Most people are afraid to set a future because they're afraid of committing to it. They are afraid of not just failing, but failing because they didn't do it. You know, I said about hypocrisy before. Right? If you fail, you know, if you try and you fail because circumstances really beyond your control stop you, there is honour in that. But if you say you're going to do something and you don't even try, there is hypocrisy in that. And we fear that instinctively. We never want to admit that we're hypocrites, even though we all are to some degree. We don't want to be seen to be that. So the future that you set is the present that you get. And this means that if you're going to tell your story, you're going to create your story for whatever it is, you have to be acting with integrity towards it. So for Coda Dojo, every Saturday I go to the National Software in Cork, I show up with my kids, we open the room, we have the Coda Dojo, and I'm pretty much always there, and if I'm not there, somebody else who I trust is there every Saturday. That is one of my core contributions to Coda Dojo. Forget all the branding and everything else. I'm showing up. I forget that who said the quote, but somebody much more famous said that success is most of success is just showing up more than 50% of the time. Somebody else said that if you show up 50% of the time, you'll beat everyone else. Literally, just act as you say you're going to act. Give your word to something and then follow through. How many people have heard the word empowerment? Yeah, it's getting tired and overused, isn't it? Do you know what the real definition of empowerment is? Giving your word to something and then honouring it. That's actually empowerment. Every disempowered person that I've ever seen has either been unable to give their word to something or unable to honour it. Whether it's from their own self or whether it's from an external source, doesn't really matter. They're still disempowered. We're as good as disempowering ourselves, in fact probably better disempowering ourselves than the rest of the world is. So, make up a good story, make it pithy, make it interesting, put it out in the world, commit to it, and then act accordingly. It's the basis of every decent thing that I've ever seen achieved. Now, if you look in your own businesses, your own lives, have you ever actually created your own brand, your own story? Anyone? You?
Well, I invented a game.
Right.
And I have a really good page. And I'm hoping to put it on YouTube and make it go viral.
Right.
But I'm only at the beginning of it.
Okay,
So
cool.
it was basically if you're...
So I'm too hot. Anyone else too hot?
If you...
Don't film this bit.
if you like kind of semi-competitive sports but you don't want to have to commit to like a team every week and train 3 times a week, you want more just stress relieving activity.
Right.
With some violence but not with the intention of hurting anyone.
And there was some violence.
So I made up a game with those noodles that are usually used for flotation for swimming. So each team has one of those in their hand, and it's like Olympic handball kind of rules with a ball.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. Does anyone else get what this is about?
Almost.
Yeah.
Right? It's sort of there, but it's not really clear, is it? What's the pain?
The pain is, for example, being at work, being really stressed out, not having time, or a particular sport that you really engage in. Needing a different outlet.
So the pain is universal human stress. Yeah.
And needing a relief.
Yeah, you need relief from your stress. Great. What's the struggle?
The struggle is having an outlet to relieve your stress.
No, that's still the pain. What's the struggle? What is it you have done that makes people buy your solution to that pain?
It's finding a way that you like to do.
No. What have you personally done in developing games? Like, are you a game development expert? Did you have some great inspiration? Have you tried your game on 1,000 people and they liked it? What's the struggle?
First of all, I thought it would be something that would work for me. And then I tried it on a few friends and it seemed to work for them.
Okay, that's actually, by the way, don't discount that. That's probably enough. I had this pain. I created a game that gets rid of this pain. I tried it on a few friends. They've all loved it. And now I'm going to go global. Is a fine statement. I've seen VCs fund even thinner stuff than that. So don't laugh, right? That's perfectly fine. What's the resolution?
Getting into a stage where people can...
What's the resolution for your others? The resolution
Oh,
is
being
always
happy,
about...
being happy with the result. Having a
Yeah,
stress relief and
you know,
enjoying the...
you've had a friend play this game, right? What did they get out of it? What was the juice out of the end of it? What was the best review you got?
The constant laughter.
Constant laughter.
Yeah. As in everybody enjoyed it so much, they just...
Yeah, they couldn't stop laughing. Fantastic. And laughing's good for you. Can you see how that's a very much pithier story? And can you see you don't actually need... Does anyone really care about the details of how you play the game? About 1 in 10 person cares about that. They're not your market anyway. Right? Go for the 90% who just want to hear, oh, I have that pain too. I'm stressed at work. Oh, she did it. Worked for her. It worked for all her friends. Might be worth a try. Oh, everyone who did it laughed their asses off. Fantastic. I want some. Can you see the difference? Short, crisp, crisis struggle resolution. Boom, boom. Now, if you want to go one level beyond, you can say the protagonist. The protagonist is anyone who plays the game, anyone who's stressed. These are your protagonists. Also happens to be your audience. Right? So you can pick an audience, people who are in high-pressure business environments. Maybe competitive people in high-pressure business environments. Sounds to me like the stock market. You know, pitch your game at UBS to the brokerage floor and see what happens. You know, use the audience and the protagonist to try and find your market, find your people. You want your protagonist at best to also be, you know, able to relate to the audience. So, you know, find some friends who are stockbrokers, get them to play the game, get them to give you some testimonials, then take it to UBS. You know, just play the story around. Don't just sit on it. You know, try and work out the angles. Because there's always a good angle that you can find if you try hard enough. The other thing is the resolution can also be your promise. Right? And promises are very powerful because that's that future statement. So you remember my life sentence, you know, will you be my friend? Will you be my friend? Not very powerful, not very empowered. My promise, on the other hand,